Hello and welcome to this video on price elasticity demand and demand curves. In this video, we're going to look at how you calculate the price elasticity of demand from a demand curve, how the shape of the demand curve indicates the price elasticity demand for the product, and then finally, what price elasticity demand means for businesses in terms of whether they should raise or lower their prices. So let's start off with a quick review of what a demand curve is. A demand curve shows the relationship between price and how many units would be demanded, i.e. the quantity that people would want to buy. So here, price of Mars bar is 30p, then people would want to buy 300. Now looking at this demand curve, we can also see that if the price was to fall to 20 pence, there would be an increase in demand to 400 Mars bars. So now we have the change in price and the change in demand, and with that information, we can work out the price elasticity of demand. Remembering that the price elasticity of demand formula is the percentage change in quantity demanded over the percentage change in price. And now we can calculate both of these. We need to remember how you calculate a percentage change. You look at the change in the value over the original value times 100. So for the percentage change in price, it's the change in price minus 10 pence over the original price, 30 pence times 100. So let's have a look at an example here. We've got a price of £300 for a particular product and the quantity demanded is 300. If the price was to change to £200, that's a fall of £100, and we can see that change in price would lead to a movement along the demand curve, and now our demand would increase to 640. So we can work out the percentage change in demand and the percentage change in price. Up here we have the percentage change in price. Price has fallen by 100 divided by the original price 300, so that's a minus 33.33% decrease in the price. In terms of demand, it's risen by 340 divided by the original demand 300, so that's an increase of 113.33%. We can put the two together, the percentage change in demand over the percentage change in price, and we can work out the price elasticity for this particular product is minus 3.4, and that's an important number, minus 3.4, remembering it's a negative because when price goes down, we expect demand to go up and vice versa. And also this number 3.4 is bigger than 1. Now what does that tell us? Well, that's right, it tells us that the demand here is price elastic. So a quick reminder that if the number is more than 1, it means the percentage change in price will lead to a larger percentage change in quantity demanded. If it's less than 1, it will lead to a smaller percentage change in quantity demanded. So here we have an elastic demand curve because the change in price leads to quite a big increase in demand. So the change in demand is bigger than the change in price, an elastic demand for this product. Now what we can do is have a look at the impact that would have on a revenue for a business. Now here originally, if they're selling at £300 and they sell 300, they would have a revenue of £300 times 300, £90,000. Now what happens if they drop their price to £200? Well, we've seen that the demand increases to 620. And so what would happen to their revenue is actually their revenue would be higher. So here we can see for this particular business, if they drop their price, they'd actually receive more money. On the flip side, if they were to raise their price by a small increase, let's say £50, that results in quite a sharp drop in demand. Now we have an elastic demand curve, okay, more vertical, and we can see here that dropping the price from £300 to £200 only increases the demand very slightly. So what impact is this going to have on revenue? Well, it's not going to increase the revenue very much. In fact, the revenue will probably decrease. And here we can see that £300, if they sell 300, their revenue is £90,000. If they lower the price to £200 and sell 340, the revenue's actually gone down. So for this business, if the product has price inelastic demand, then lowering the price is not a good strategy as it reduces overall revenue, money received by a business. Because the increase in demand is not very big, it's smaller than the percentage change in price. However, if they were to raise the price, a small increase in price by £50 results in a very small decrease in the quantity demanded, and so actually their overall revenue would increase. So let's have a look at this now. On the left-hand side, price inelastic demand, and we raise the price from P1 to P2, we can see there's a small fall in quantity Q1 to Q2. If we have elastic demand and we raise the price by the same amount, P1 to P2, we can see there's quite a big fall in demand from Q1 to Q2. So on the left-hand side, the green area indicates the extra revenue the business would receive, and the red area indicates the lost revenue. And we can see when there's price inelastic demand, the increase in revenue from a price rise is much bigger than the revenue that's lost. When we have elastic demand, price elastic demand, the increase in revenue is much smaller than the loss of revenue. So overall, on the left-hand side, this business has gained from raising its price, whereas on the right-hand side, this business has lost. It's got a smaller revenue from raising its price. So what impact will this have on pricing decisions? Well, you might have seen so far that effectively, if we have price inelastic demand, then if we raise the price as a business, it will increase the revenue. If we decrease the price, there will be a fall in revenue. If we have price elastic demand, what should we do? Well, if we cut the price, we'll sell an even greater quantity, so our revenue will go up. If we raise the price, we'll lose a lot of sales, a lot of demand, and there'll be a fall in revenue. If there's unitary demand, then there'll be no change. So what do our demand curves look like? Well, price inelastic demand is more vertical, a relatively steep curve, and large change in price causes a small change in quantity, and so our PED will be 0 and -1. Unitary demand will look like this. Percentage change in price caused the same change in quantity, and that will be a price elasticity of demand of -1. Elastic demand is a more horizontal, relatively flat curve. Small change in price causes a large change in quantity, and that will be a price elasticity demand between -1 and all the way up to an infinitely big number. So this is a nice little diagram, perhaps worth printing and sticking in our notes. So here are our three different types of demand curve on the same diagram. We've got unit elastic demand, which is a rectangular hyperbola, and that means that when I lower the price by a certain amount, the demand increases by the same percentage. Here we have perfectly inelastic, and that's vertical. It means if I change my price at all, there'll be no change in demand. Perfectly inelastic demand does not respond to any change in price. At any price, this will be the same quantity demanded. Here we have the perfectly elastic demand curve, which means if I change my price even slightly, then demand will disappear. And a good way of remembering this is that the inelastic demand curve looks like an I, and elastic demand curve looks like the middle of an E. So I for inelastic and E for elastic. So in this video, we've looked at how you calculate price elasticity of demand from a demand curve, how the shape of the demand curve indicates the price elasticity of demand, and we've looked at the implications of price elasticity of demand for businesses when they're considering whether to raise or lower their price. That's it. I hope you're not too confused. Thanks for listening.